Alrighty, so I'm getting some brass ready. There is nothing like clean brass for me. I absolutely love it. This is some 28 Sherman Mag brass. This was shot last weekend, so I try and turn these around relatively quickly. Now I know what you're saying. Pete, that's easy for you to do. You don't have a real job. No, it's not easy. I just try and sort of keep a system going that, I've been in that situation, and perhaps you can relate to that, is sometimes a match sneaks up on you and you do not have your brass ready. And what also happens, and the purpose of this video, and where I hope I can help you guys with this video, is sort of showing you the system that I use, not to get confused with what has been done to what brass, because it's okay if you've got one caliber. But as soon as you start working with like 223 Dasher, 6.5 Sherman or PRC or whatever, all of a sudden you have a lot of balls in the air that you need to juggle, and it's very, very easy to forget, have I full-sized those? What do I still need to do with these? So that's sort of what I'm hoping to show you guys in today's video. And I've sort of simplified the process for myself over the years, and I've boiled it down to this. So before we get into the meat of the checklist, I want to thank our friends at Modular Driven Technologies. MDT has been a partner of my channel for the longest time now. They make a wide variety of chassis systems. If you're looking to breathe some life into an old rifle, you're looking for some inspiration for a project, or you just want to make your rifle look cool, like my rifles, head on over to mdttac.com. They have so many different actions that they're making chassis and awesome accessories for. They have amazing customer service, and they're all around great people. So thank you very much, MDT, for being our partner on the channel. So I use a variety of buckets. So I've got a bucket system, and I try and keep these fresh-ish. They're very inexpensive to get. I think this is like 20 bucks, South African, by the way, so it's really nothing. Because they do wear over time, you lube cases in some of them. And I've got some buckets that are designated like depriming. I'll have like a 4V1 down here. Like this is a classic example. Clean, brand new bucket. This one has seen some use over the last couple of years. So I deprime into that, and I do all the icky stuff into that. Dirty Brass also has their own buckets. So as soon as we go in, sort of after cleaning, they go into clean buckets, at which point they'll stay in the clean bucket. So basically what I'm using to manage this process is I've made a little card. Okay, now every card has the rifle's details on it. So I've got the caliber it is, which version of that rifle's brass it is, because for example on my Dasher, I've got 3 batches of brass that I'm working. So I've got my main sort of Lapua brass. Okay, that's 500 pieces. I use that for shooting precision rifle matches. So there I'm managing 500 pieces. Then I've got 200 pieces of Norma brass, okay, that I'm using to train and practice with and make videos with. And then I've also got 200 pieces of Lapua brass that have been neck turned, and those I specifically only use for hunting with the 87 grain Berger bullets, excuse me. So basically what I've got caliber, then the bullet that I'm shooting, and I've got my entire reloading recipe on this. I'll show you guys a close-up of this over here somewhere. I've got my Annealing Made Perfect code, and then I've got a last count, because as you know, on the Annealing Made Perfect machine, it actually counts your brass for you, and that's just saving me a little bit of time that I don't have to manually count all my brass. And then I can sort of keep track of how much brass I'm losing. Obviously with something like the 28 Sherman Mag, unless I'm going hunting with it, I'm not really losing brass. But on a precision rifle match, all of a sudden you could be down to 480 pieces of Dasher brass relatively quickly. So I just want to sort of stay on top of that. And also for my OCD, I like knowing how many pieces I've got left, because if I need to reload those and I've got a match, classic example, the reason I'm prepping for this match now is I've got a King of 1 Mile match coming up soon. And if I know the round count is 40, but the last time I annealed these I had 150 pieces, then I'm good to go, because I know there's enough for me to load. So then I've also got my actual load on here. The powder I'm using, Retumbo for this one. I've got my trim to length. I've got my base to ogive measurement for the actual how deep I'm seating my bullet. And I've got the powder charge on there too. I've got the speed that it last shot the last time I ran it, and then the group size. So I can sort of manage quite a bit. The fact that I've got my base to ogive and the amount of jump that I run, and I've got that in my reloading book separately. I can also use that to track, how my throat is sort of eroding on the Sherman Mag. it's obviously a lot. So then we get to the actual reloading part. Now, I've got a step-by-step, let me show you guys this, absolute foolproof system here for myself, because it's happened more than I like to admit, where I come up after a few weeks of not reloading and I need to continue in the process, and I cannot for the life of me remember, Pete, what was the last thing you did to this brass you chop? Okay, it's all good if you're only loading 6.5 Creedmoor, then you can kind of do it. But multiple calibers, then with multiple different load recipes and multiple different batches within that, it becomes difficult. So I've got here my little checklist. I physically tick off every single part of the load that I've done. So as soon as I've deep primed it, that's the first step I do, is I universal deep prime my brass. By the way, if you guys are watching this and you're new to reloading, I've got a full online reloading school down below. The feedback on that over the years has been fantastic. So you can check that out down below. It's online. You can watch it in the comfort of your own home. And I take you through my process of how I've figured out reloading to the point where I'm getting the best possible results shooting tiny groups with low SDs and extreme spread numbers with the least amount of work. Now, that is going to be linked down below. So, universal deep prime, first thing I do. The next step I'm going to do is clean my brass. And the reason I do the universal deep prime first before I clean it, because I want those stainless steel pins to work their way through into those primer pockets and get rid of all the icky bicky things that build up in there over time. And I run my stainless steel tumbler on a timer so that every time it is the same. It's a repeatable process because we want consistency throughout the board. Now in the past, this is where I would anneal. Okay, I would anneal here. I haven't, since I switched where I anneal in my process, noticed any difference. Zero. Okay, so I do this and I'll explain to you guys why I've decided to do this a little bit later. So next step is going to get water off the brass, because obviously in the stainless steel tumbler it's wet. So I'm going to pop that into my brass dryer. I'll have links to all the stuff I use down below the video too for the guys that are interested. I'm going to dry that out. And once I've dried it out, I'm going to full size it. So I'm obviously going to spray on some lube or use my own lube or the Reading sizing lube. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to lube it and then full size. I never neck size. I always full size. Then I'm going to run it through the expander mandrel. Then I'm going to trim it with my Henderson trimmer, at which point there's a little bit of lube on. Now, sometimes if I'm lazy, I'll skip this step. I won't clean my brass again. I'll leave the little bit of lube on. Also, haven't noticed a massive difference doing one or the other there. So, yeah, you decide how you want to do that. But if I do clean it again, or if I don't clean it again, I'm going to anneal. Now, the reason I started annealing at the end here is 100% because it looks cooler. Okay, I love that freshly annealed look that you get. Okay, this is a super bad example because this guy has not been annealed. But once I pop this through the Annealing Made Perfect machine, there's going to be this beautiful annealing mark on that piece. And after the bullet is seated in there, it's going to look absolutely magnificent. And then I'm going to tick those boxes. And my next step is literally going to be to use my CPS that's over there, seat the primer, chuck some powder in, and then seat the bullets. And I'm off to the races. And then we're really done with this piece of paper. Something that I forgot to mention, I also track the firing count. So how many times I physically fired a lot of brass, okay? And the reason I'm doing that is I want to see, am I getting loose primer pockets? Am I starting to see cracked necks, case head separation, all the things that could go wrong with brass, at which point you obviously want to discard that brass because you don't want to shoot brass in your rifle that's not consistent and it's going to start failing on you. So then you know if my expected brass life is, 5 to 6 firings or 20 firings for that matter, then you can order your new batch of brass in time so that you're not sitting with the situation where you got to shoot dodgy brass, because we don't want to do that. Then I'm going to file this piece of paper in my reloading book, and I'm going to start this process all over once these guys have been dispensed downrange. Now guys, I hope this has been helpful for you. I'm going to find a way to leave the spreadsheet in a pinned comment down below this video. Make sure you leave me a comment, leave me a like on the video. And if you haven't subscribed already, what on earth are you doing? I'd appreciate that a lot. Guys, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next video.